When we talk about manipulation, we often imagine it as something external, a force coming from outside. But the truth is, manipulation only works because it finds something already within you, an emotional weakness, a hidden insecurity, an unresolved fear. Women who manipulate rarely do so with grand strategies. They simply sense where your soft spots are. Maybe you fear abandonment, maybe you crave constant validation. Maybe you cannot handle conflict without bending to keep the peace. These are the emotional triggers that make you vulnerable. And once identified, they can be used against you with precision. Think about it. When she hints that she might leave, does panic rise in your chest? When she compares you to other men, do you feel a burning need to prove yourself? When she withdraws affection, do you immediately wonder what you did wrong and rush to fix it? These are not her strings, they are your strings. She is merely pulling them, and as long as you remain unaware of them, you will keep dancing to her tune, believing she is in control, when in reality it is your own unhealed emotions running the show. The antidote is awareness. You must bring these hidden triggers into the light, confront them, and ask yourself why they hold such power over you. Why does rejection terrify you? Why is her approval more important than your self-respect? Until you answer these questions, you will always be manipulated, not because she is strong, but because you are blind to your own weaknesses. A man who knows his triggers cannot be controlled. He may still feel the emotions, but he does not surrender to them. Awareness is the first cut of the string, and without it, no freedom is possible. Detachment is one of the most misunderstood qualities in a man. People hear the word and assume it means coldness, indifference, or emotional distance, but that is not detachment, that is avoidance. True detachment is power. It means you feel the emotion, you experience the moment, but you are not enslaved by it. You don't let it dictate your actions. When a woman senses that your entire sense of peace depends on her moods, she knows she can control you. One shift in her tone, one withdrawal of attention, and suddenly you are restless, desperate to restore harmony. That is attachment in its weakest form, and it leaves you vulnerable to endless games. Detachment, on the other hand, creates space. It allows you to observe her actions without being swallowed by them. When she gives you the silent treatment, you don't chase. When she threatens to leave, you don't panic. When she tests your patience, you don't explode. You stay centered, calm, grounded. And this stability disarms manipulation because the tactics no longer work. She cannot control a man who has control over himself. Philosophically, detachment is freedom from dependency. It does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop needing. You can love deeply, but you don't collapse without her love in return. You can value the relationship, but you do not compromise your dignity to preserve it. That inner stance communicates more than words ever could. It shows that your emotional state is not up for negotiation. And here lies the truth: a detached man is the hardest to manipulate. Because he is anchored not in her reactions, but in his own strength. When you master detachment, you stop chasing control, and ironically, that is when you gain it. One of the most subtle forms of manipulation thrives on a man's inability to say no. Think about it. How many times have you agreed to something you didn't want to do, simply because you fear disappointing her, or worse, losing her? That is not love. That is submission disguised as care. The inability to set boundaries stems from a deep hunger for approval. You want her to see you as good, as worthy, as irreplaceable. And so you sacrifice your truth to keep her satisfied. But here's the paradox: the more you say yes when you mean no, the less she respects you. Boundaries are not walls, they are frameworks of dignity. Every no you express is not rejection of her. It is an affirmation of yourself. When you can calmly, firmly, and unapologetically deny what does not align with your values, you communicate that your principles are not for sale, and nothing earns respect faster than integrity. Women test men not only with words, but with requests, with demands, with behaviors designed to probe your limits. If you have none, you will be pushed endlessly. If you do, the tests stop because she knows she cannot move you beyond your line. This is not about aggression, it is about clarity. Saying no does not require shouting, nor does it require guilt. It requires conviction. You do not owe constant agreement to anyone, not even the woman you love. What you owe is honesty to yourself first and foremost. A man who cannot say no is a man destined to be manipulated, but the one who masters it finds liberation. Because when you stop fearing the consequences of your no, you finally start living with the strength of your yes. Manipulation thrives on reaction. It feeds off your anger, your explanations, your desperate attempts to prove yourself understood. The more you react, the more fuel you provide. And this is why silence is such a powerful weapon. Silence unsettles because it removes the manipulator's oxygen, the emotional energy they rely on to keep control. When you respond with calm stillness instead of outrage, you communicate that you cannot be shaken so easily. But silence is not about shutting down or avoiding confrontation. It is about mastering restraint. It is choosing not to fight battles that don't deserve your energy. Most men lose power not because they are weak, but because they over-explain, they argue endlessly. They try to justify themselves in situations where no justification is required. Every unnecessary word becomes a rope tying you deeper into her game. Silence, in contrast, is clarity. It shows that you refuse to participate in cycles of manipulation. Psychologically, silence creates space. It forces the other person to confront their own behavior without the distraction of your reaction. It is in that uncomfortable space that truth begins to surface. Often, what words cannot accomplish, silence achieves with ease. It shifts the balance of power. This is why great leaders, philosophers, and even warriors have all understood the value of silence. It is not emptiness, it is presence. It communicates strength without noise. So the next time you are baited into a reaction, remember this: not every attack deserves a counterstrike. Sometimes the greatest victory lies in refusing to play the game. Silence is not weakness. It is authority in its purest form. There is a truth many men struggle to accept: the moment you place a woman above your own dignity, you lose both her respect and your own. Love without self-respect is not love, it is dependency. And dependency is the breeding ground of manipulation. A woman may enjoy your affection, she may even take comfort in your devotion, but she cannot truly respect a man who sacrifices his identity just to keep her happy. Respect is the foundation of any lasting connection, and once it is gone, the dynamic shifts into control and imbalance. When you trade your boundaries for attachment, you send a silent message. My need for you is greater than my need for myself. And once that message is understood, it becomes easy to bend you, test you, and push you. Not because she is cruel, but because human nature always probes weakness. Just as you would not trust a bridge that collapses under pressure, she cannot trust a man who collapses under emotion. Strength is not about dominance over her. It is about sovereignty over yourself. Valuing self-respect over attachment means choosing principle over temporary comfort. It means walking away from what insults your soul, even if it hurts. It means remembering that your worth is not negotiable. And paradoxically, when a woman sees that you will not compromise your dignity for her approval, that is when she respects you most. A man who honors himself cannot be manipulated because he will never allow love to become slavery. And if there is one standard to carry in every relationship, it is this: let her admire your love, but make sure she fears the loss of your respect. Without that, you have already surrendered. The easiest man to manipulate is the one with no mission beyond the woman in front of him. When your entire identity is built around her, her attention, her affection, her approval, you hand her the remote control to your emotions. She becomes the center of your world, and when that happens, she can tilt your reality with the smallest gesture. A look, a word, even silence from her side can throw you into chaos. This happens not because she is powerful, but because you have nothing greater anchoring you. Purpose is the antidote. A man with vision, with goals, with a life that stretches beyond the relationship cannot be hijacked emotionally. He has something larger guiding him, something that defines his worth independently of her. And this is not just about career or money. It is about living with direction. A man rooted in purpose walks differently. He is not desperate. He is not easily swayed, and he does not crumble when affection is withheld. His sense of meaning is internal, not borrowed from someone else. Philosophically, purpose creates gravity. It stabilizes you in the face of manipulation, because you are pulled by something stronger than her games. A man without purpose drifts, tossed around by moods and emotions, but a man with purpose stands like a mountain, unmoved, unshaken. This is why the strongest relationships are built not on dependency, but on two whole individuals who choose each other. When your life is bigger than her, she cannot shrink you with tactics. And here is the lesson: if you want to stop being manipulated, stop living small. Build a life so rooted in vision that no one's approval becomes your oxygen. A man anchored in purpose cannot be moved by games, only by truth.